Hey everybody, it's me, Bryce. How are you all doing today? Today our video will be on the major battle, the Battle of Fredericksburg, which occurred on December 11th to December 12th of 1862, which ended in a massive Confederate victory and a crushing, embarrassing defeat for the Union Army. The Battle of Fredericksburg was a plan, or was a command. The Union Army was commanded by General Ambrose Burnside. You probably know of him for his horrendous attack, or his excellent plan at the Battle of the Crater, but the horrible attack. And of course, he's most famous for this battle. The Battle of Fredericksburg was started because of Burnside's plan to invade Richmond. His plan was to capture the city of Fredericksburg because it was strategically important, and the reason why is because it had a railroad junction, and the railroad junction would be able to deliver his troops to positions that would be able to attack the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia, bypassing the Lee's Army of Northern Virginia. Well, what happened was that General Burnside, with his 100,000 men from the Army of the Potomac, came to Fredericksburg and found little resistance besides one brigade of Confederate soldiers under the command of Brigadier General Richard Barksdale from Mississippi. Well, his Mississippians. The Confederates did not know this was going to happen because Lee thought Burnside would be somewhere completely else. He did not expect Burnside to be in the city of Fredericksburg, and the Confederates defending the city, who were outnumbered, sent a message to Lee, and so Lee was coming with his army to help him. So what happened was that Burnside had pontoon boats. Now this plan had already gone horribly from the beginning, because there were supposed to be pontoon boats. Now pontoon boats are an easy way of traveling through rivers. You don't need to go on boats and swim through them. You can basically, engineers were supposed to, DC was supposed to bring pontoon boats to help forward the troops across the river. It was basically like a bridge. Well, what happened was that the man who was supposed to do this job did it horribly, and the pontoon boats arrived several weeks late, giving the Confederates time to prep up defenses and giving Lee time for the Confederate Army to get there. Burnside's plan was to attack the city without the main Confederate body coming. Well, that never happened because, as said, the pontoon boats arrived too late. And so what happened was that Burnside had to basically risk his engineers into death. And so what happened was that the Confederate sharpshooters under Barksdale, when they saw the engineers early in the morning, they opened fire on them, unleashing devastating fire into the engineers. Many of them being killed and wounded and falling off the work in progress pontoon boats. Well, what happened was that for Burnside, he ordered a massive artillery bombardment from Stanford Heights to give the engineers cover. This bombardment completely destroyed the city of Fredericksburg. Buildings were being destroyed, fire was everywhere, smoke, and the civilian population was still inside. So many of them became casualties because of this bombardment, and many others stayed under their houses in their basements and trying to find cover. The Confederate soldiers were absolutely horrified at this. And from the letter of Private James M. Dinkins of the 18th Mississippi, he described what that bombardment was. He wrote, "The bombardment was kept up for over an hour, and no tongue nor pen can describe the dreadful dreadful scene. Tons of iron were hurled against the place. It was appalling and indescribable, the condition which would shake the stoutest of a soldier's heart." Now, after the bombardment, and now that the Confederate soldiers were softened up, after taking many losses from this bombardment, including a Union infantryman pouring volleys into them, the Federal troops were able to get boats and row them across the river. But they were still taking casualties, men being shot off the boats, being wounded and killed. many officers and enlisted men. And so basically, when they all got off the boats, they were able to pour a devastating fire into the Confederate ranks. The Confederates fell back, and this was the first urban combat of the American Civil War. You had soldiers fighting street by street, block by block, house by house. It was basically a World War II kind of thing. And the thing was that during the Civil War, just any of that time in history, men were not trained how to fight in these kind of conditions. So this was a shock to everybody. And one of the many soldiers who described the brutality of the fighting, Lieutenant Oliver Wendell Holmes of the 20th Massachusetts, wrote, "The Rebs opened on us from windows and doors and behind houses. We had no choice, and after losing half our company, we made a rush to the houses and doors." So what happened was that the Confederates were steadily falling back, but were delivering vicious volleys into them. They were hiding in houses, on the canopies, and the buildings, the doors. They were everywhere. And so the Federals were taking high casualties. But more Federal soldiers came in, and the Confederates were just too outnumbered. And so they fell back while loading and firing, still giving the Federals a fight. Now, what happened was that by the time this was going on, Lee's army was nearby to help reinforce it. And because of the 7-week delay for the pontoon boats, Lee's army had arrived. And they had taken positions on Marye's Heights, including on the far left and on the far right. And this, which would prove an impenetrable defense, especially on Marye's Heights. So the Confederate soldiers who were defending the city fell back with the rest of the brigade to the heights. And when the Federals took the city, there was this was very shameful of the Union Army. Many men were ashamed because of this, including their higher-ups. They looted the city of Fredericksburg, and these men, these Union soldiers who had been through the most bloodiest of fights and the most well-trained troops, had broke their discipline and broke their ranks and turned into utter demons, looting houses, burning them down, stealing things. It was a very, very shameful display on the part of the Union Army. And because of this very shameful display, many men, especially the officers who were trying to get back order, were absolutely disappointed in their troops, and many were punished after the battle if they were not casualties of war. So this concludes the first episode of the Battle of Fredericksburg. Tomorrow we will focus on the main battle, specifically on the left, the right, and the center, including some of the most heroic moments of the battle. And after that, I will post two videos, on the casualties of Fredericksburg, as a memorial to those who gave their lives for this country on both sides. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and hit if you want to get notified on more videos. Share with your friends if you want to see more of this, and if they actually like this kind of history stuff. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, and God bless.